Well, hello everybody. This is Dr. Troy Dukowitz of the Commit and Go podcast, where we encourage you to make big commitments, take big action to create big ass results in your life and business. Today's topic is this. Dude, all you had to do was apologize. So we are some 3 weeks into this landscaping sewage saga, if you will. If you haven't listened to any of the podcasts over the last couple of weeks, please go check them out. But I will catch you up to speed right now. About 3 weeks ago, we started having landscaping done for the front of our house. Should have taken 4 days, but the saga has continued. They ended up hitting a pipe in the front of the house, and this would end up basically sending rocks and debris down into the sewage line where it would start to build up. When it built up, boom, 2 weeks ago, we had literally probably a half an inch at least of water in our basement. And then we had the pipe fixed, and we flushed a bunch of water through it. The only problem is that although it was getting around the debris, it didn't get rid of the debris. That's right, we still had rocks, and we still had pieces of plastic in there, which means now what has to happen is they have to actually dig a 60-foot trench in front of our house, a ditch in front of our house, and remove those pipes because they have the rocks and the debris in them. And so they can't just leave that stuff in there. All it's going to do is keep catching on stuff, and it's going to come back out. You might be thinking, why can't they just do the whole Roto-Rooter thing? The problem is it doesn't grab rocks, and the problem is it doesn't grab large pieces of plastic, so therefore they have to dig into our yard. Now, while all this is going on, we've had our conversations with the landscaper, not the landlord, the landscaper. And unfortunately, when this first happened, first thing out of his mouth as we are texting this is, what makes you think it's my fault? Well, because this wasn't happening before y'all came here and hit a sewage pipe in our yard. And so from that point on, he had been literally he said, okay, if it is my fault and I'm going to have to pay for all this, then I don't want to get taken. Now, I want you to hear this, because he didn't say sorry. He didn't say, hey, we'll get through this. What he said is, well, how do you know it's my fault? And once we said, dude, this wasn't happening before you guys broke the pipe, he realized, oh, shit, okay, well, then I want to make sure that this gets done and it's not expensive, and kind of like walking down that road. He immediately started worrying about the money instead of worrying about the people being us. What he wasn't looking at is that we spent 8 hours that day between cleaning and then going ahead and working with the plumber to figure out what the problem was and what we had to do. And then, of course, we showed up late. That's right, late to the kids' charity event that we love to go to support our school. He wasn't paying attention to the fact that we were out of our house for 4 days. We literally had to drive back and forth to get things so we can make sure that kids had exactly what they needed for school. He wasn't paying attention to any of those things that would take place. And so when he was here just a few days after the flooding of the basement, he was out in our yard and he was actually digging the hole around the pipe. He wanted his own plumber, and we said, no, we're going to use our plumber that we find. And he said, but, I don't want to get taken. I don't want anybody to take advantage of me. He's not thinking about us yet again. And so I walk outside and I'm talking to him. As I let him go ahead and dig the hole, it knocked a couple $100 off of the fee for the changing of the pipe. And he finally looks at me about 5 minutes into the conversation and says, hey man, I'm really sorry about this. Now mind you, this is 3 days after the problem took place. I'm just now getting an apology. And so then this continues, and we have to get work done, and we find out we have to get more work done, and we're going back and forth and saying, man, we're just going to file with insurance. And he finally just, we finally got to come home 2 days later, okay? And he's now texting me while I'm working and wanting to know if they come to the house. And I'm so livid and pissed and triggered right now. I'm like, dude, you're not coming to my house. We just got home, and it's my kid's first birthday. So he leaves us alone, doesn't say anything until a week later. He finally reaches out and contacts me. And what we know is if he doesn't come and fix and repair the backyard, remember when the Bobcat got dumped in the backyard? If he doesn't come and fix that, we're going to have even more problems because we've been having rain. So he comes to the house, and we meet at 6 o'clock at night. We're standing outside, and he's sitting there telling us all the additional work that he's done because he wanted to make sure that we were satisfied with the work that had been done. And I stopped him about mid-sentence, and I said, dude, can I say something to you? I have to say this. That's great that you did extra with the rock and you did extra with the border. Do you realize if you would have just said, I'm sorry, we'll get through this, when this all happened, that we wouldn't have an issue right now? But what you made it look like you were doing is you were dumping responsibility. You were making us feel like it was our responsibility, and you didn't give a shit about what was going on and how it's affected us or our family. And my wife and I, we've both made mistakes in business, but we've always tried to make it up and make sure we made it right with the person. And he looks at me and says, "What, man?" And he drops his shoulders. He's like, "I'm so sorry. I mean, I am sorry. I apologize for all this. I mean, I never wanted this to happen. And I really wasn't trying to like avoid you. I wasn't trying to not take responsibility. I just figured you had kind of been frustrated and you didn't really want to talk to me." And I said, "Hell yeah, I was frustrated because you never apologized. All you wanted to do was get paid and come get the job done without realizing they got to tear it all out again. And all you had to do was say, 'I'm sorry, we'll get through it, and then together we'll find a way to maneuver this thing.'" He looks at my wife, and he looks at me, and he's like, "Guys, I apologize. I'm really sorry, and I didn't even realize that I didn't even do that." Now, here's what's cool about this, because after the apology, we're all looking at each other, and I go, "See, now I feel better." I looked at my wife and said, "How do you feel?" She says, "I feel better." And I looked at him and I said, "Dude, how do you feel?" He goes, "I actually feel really good." I'm like, "You should. Because collision creates clarity." And I said, "I need you to remember that. Because had we collided in the first place, there might have been some hurt feelings. I definitely is pissed off, but we can get past it and find solutions. But when you're not talking to us and communicating to us and you're dumping the responsibility, you're pissing us off. You're not realizing we've been out of our house for 4 days. You're not realizing we're going to be out of our house again next week. You're not realizing we're going to dig a 60-foot trench in our front yard. You're not looking at any of those things. You're only thinking about yourself and, oh, the nice rock that you put in for us. And then we're supposed to see how you upgraded it. But the fact that your team screwed up, we don't even get to enjoy it. But now we can move from here. Now we can build from here. So let's go ahead and talk about what you're going to do tonight." As we continued the conversation, and he walked us around to the backyard where he was going to fix where the bobcat was dumped in our backyard and the ditch. How he was going to smooth it out, how he was going to fix it, and we had a very good conversation. And when he was done, he pulled me outside and gave me a couple other suggestions and things that he was going to do to, quote-unquote, make it right. The moral of the story here, ladies and gentlemen, is very simple, is that collision creates clarity. How many times in our lives have we avoided colliding with people? Look, it's not comfortable. I wasn't looking forward to talking to him. I wasn't looking forward to having to be stern with him. I wasn't looking forward to any of those things. Hell, we liked the guy. And I wasn't looking forward to those things because I felt bad for him because he didn't even do it, his team did, but yet it's his responsibility. He's got to take responsibility. And so if we don't have that collision, then there's this negative energy that's going around in my house, and I don't want that crap around my house. And I still have a backyard that could actually be worse than it was before they started. Now it's beautiful. They repaired the holes, and it's right where I was hoping it would be. If we don't collide, I probably don't let them in our house. We just say, "No way, man, we're leaving this up to the lawyers." But the fact that we were able to collide and have a real conversation means that we probably won't have to go down that path. And I pray that we don't. But look at this in your own life. Where is it in your life that you need to collide? I've had clients collide with me, and because they were willing to collide, it's okay for us to disagree. Because they were willing to collide, we could create another level of clarity. And through that level of clarity allows us both, even me and the client, to grow to yet another level. Look at your relationships. How many times in relationships do we just shut up? We don't say anything. Whereas collision is necessary in relationships so you can create a new level of clarity. Whether it's with a spouse, whether it's with your children, you got to collide. And no, it doesn't feel good, and it doesn't mean be an asshole. I was not an asshole with them. I had a very calm tone of voice to have a discussion, to collide so we can create collision on a relationship moving forward. So where is it in your life that you realize that you are avoiding having a conversation that if you had it, it would help you to create clarity, and it would help you to create expansion, and it would help you to, whoever you're teaming up with, it would help you to grow and expand from where you are instead of not having discussions. And I've had this happen before. I've had clients talk to me like, "Oh, I'm so uncomfortable. I don't want to talk about this." And then we talk about it, and I'm like, "Can't believe you didn't want to talk to me about this. We talk about everything else. And now that we've talked about it, we have a new plan. We have new clarity. We have new actions to move forward, and you probably feel better." Oh my God, I feel much better. Great. So who else do you need to collide with today? And go collide. That's just how we roll. Like, who else can I go collide with right now so I can get even more clarity? Because when I have clarity, I have more power. If I have more power, I have more production. And that's the name of the game, folks, is power, clarity, power, and production. So look, that's all I've got for you here today. Head on over. If you haven't already, throw me a frickin' bone. Go rate and review the Commit and Go podcast. I truly, truly appreciate it. And as always, head on over to commitandgo.com where you can get information about myself, programs that we put on, and even download the free, that's right, free, no obligation, just a free time management program that's going to help you to really just become masterful in your time management and energy management. Make sure that you get rid of the energy drainers and suckers in your life. That's all I've got for you here today, folks. I am Dr. Troy Dukowitz. This has been the Commit and Go podcast, where we encourage you to make big commitments, take big action, and create big-ass results in your life and business. We'll hear you next time. Bye-bye.